AI schmai, yes, yes, yes. Artificial intelligence has arrived, and it is in fact a great tool, but it's not going to replace you as a human being and a podcaster. Let's talk about it. It's really no mystery that a majority of us want things to operate more efficiently, the process to be easier, things to happen that much faster. It's just the world we're living in, and the digital aspect of life hasn't helped that process, but it has made life a little easier and faster. Artificial intelligence does the same thing, but it's not going to replace you being able to actually start your own podcast that you air quotes host when you've got some AI generated co-host talking to you. Now, I haven't explored any of these options because I have zero interest in replacing a human being with a robot as a co-host. Even more so, I have no desire in replacing me with a robot to host my podcast, because I firmly believe that, well, then it's not my podcast anymore. But if you're sitting around going, wait a second, the technology is going to be available soon enough for me just to be able to leverage artificial intelligence to create my podcast and the content and host it, I think we're quite some time away from that actually happening, if ever, because again, as human beings, we crave human connection. And on podcasts, not only are we creating content for our community, we're building relationships with the people that we're having conversations with. So is artificial intelligence useful to the podcasting game? Absolutely. Will it replace you? No, I don't think anybody's ever going to replace you. I mean, if you really wanted to be replaced by a robot, I guess you could. But don't underestimate the power of being able to actually do the work involved with creating, launching, and hosting a podcast. Your life will be radically changed, and your business will be too, because you made that decision to start a podcast. Now that we've got that out of the way, I just wanted to share some thoughts and maybe challenge your thought process a little bit. Let's talk about a couple ways that you can leverage AI and yourself to make a podcast a reality. First things first is you want to be able to map out your podcast process. I record on these days, I get guests this way, and start mapping out exactly what that looks like. And then after you record an episode, from the second you conceptualize the episode to the time you actually edit it and get ready to post it, what does that process look like? Can you leverage AI tools for, say, show notes and transcription? Absolutely. There's some great tools out there. I know Descript is one of the platforms that helps with podcast editing based on artificial intelligence. It'll remove ums and uhs. It does some basic editing features. Yes, you want to leverage all of those tools, because if it takes your physical time to actually go and write show notes, well, it makes sense to leverage a tool that can help you do that. If you're trying to come up with episode ideas, artificial intelligence is a great resource, great tool to help you come up with episode ideas. If you're looking for concepts, if you're looking for a specific series you may want to launch, artificial intelligence can take a lot of that guesswork out for you. So in that case, artificial intelligence does help you start your podcast, but again, you're still in the driver's seat making the show a reality. Now, setting AI aside for a second, focus on being 100% yourself. Don't focus on what everybody else is doing or what your favorite podcast host may sound like or show up as. You need to be 100% authentically you, because that's what people connect with, you. There's a quote out there that says, be yourself because everyone else is taken. That's so true, isn't it? So you want to make sure you're 100% you when you're creating your podcast content. Focus on being as human as possible with that process, with the conversations you're having with people, how you're showing up, how do you sound? How are you leading the conversation? Are you talking too much? Is your guest not talking enough? Are you asking good questions? Really start to do some work on yourself, in addition to leveraging robots and AI tools to help this entire podcast process really come together. If you go look at some of your favorite podcast hosts and podcasts out there, I guarantee you they're leveraging everything we've talked about in this video. Tools and resources like AI, and then also showing up as 100% their authentic self, not trying to be anybody else, really honing their craft and dialing it in and making sure they're the best podcast host possible. On the other side of the spectrum, we've also heard podcasts where we're like, ow, my ears hurt. I'm never listening to that show ever again. So we want to make sure that we're creating content that's quality and that we're showing up as ourselves. It's our responsibility to do that anyway, but also to our community as well. Well, I hope you're leaving this video knowing at least one or two things that you didn't know about the whole podcast process or artificial intelligence or everything else we've discussed in the video. If you have any questions about this video or any other videos on the channel, please comment below. I do respond to each and every one of you lovely people. Until next time.